Hello and welcome to HITC Sport. Right, let's take a look at every Premier League club and find what position they've had the worst luck with over the past 10 years. Whether that's been through poor signings or simple neglect. Let's look and see what the club's Achilles heel of the decade has been for the most part. Arsenal goalkeeper. Okay, let's be honest lads, Arsenal have had one glaring Achilles heel throughout the decade. Pretty blatant. Yeah, Bernd Leno is doing well now, but let's go through them all. The start of the decade began with the twin evils of Manuel Almunia and Wojciech Szczesny. At this time you could have stuck a bag of cauliflower on goal and that would have been more effective. Sure, Szczesny would soon be chucked out of the club for smoking in the shower. Things got so bad that Jens Lehmann had to be dragged in on the verge of retirement. Lucas Fabianski would again fail his audition. The Gunners then looked like they finally solved their goalkeeping crisis in 2014 with the addition of Chelsea legend Petr Cech. But while he did win his fourth Golden Glove, he was largely an error-strewn mess. Quite fitting that his last game coincided with a 4-goal pummeling against his former employers. Seriously lads, it took Arsenal until the second last year of the decade to find a worthy number one, Aston Villa goalkeeper. Similarly, Aston Villa have had their troubles in the goalkeeping department. Ever since Brad Fried left for Spurs in 2011, it's all been downhill. They look to have solved their issues with the signing of Shay Given from Man City, and while he enjoyed a decent debut season, Euro 2012 split his confidence in two, and he go on to have his career ripped apart in an embarrassing FA Cup final. Brad Guzan took over for a while. He also conceded 8 in one goddamn match and kept goal as the club sank to the bottom of the league. So do you really think he was the answer? The championship produced a Villa collection of laughably bad goalies, from Pierluigi Gallini to Orjan Nyland, Lovre Kalinic and Jed Steer. Good God. Even now, they're on to their second first choice goalie of the season after Tom Heaton was struck down by injury. They seriously have no luck. Bournemouth goalkeeper. Don't worry lads, this isn't an entire video slating goalies alright, but it's valid. You know if you're passing the number one shirt multiple times a decade, it's not very secure. For Christ's sake, Eddie Howe finished the decade handing the shirt around multiple times a season. They finally got it sorted now with the emergence of Aaron Ramsdale, but before him, not one of Artur Boruc, Asmir Begovic, Lee Camp or even David James made that position their own. Brighton left back. Have there been that many great left backs at Brighton? I'll answer that for you. No. Ezekiel Charlotto, Liam Rosignor, Stephen Ward, a pass at Wayne Bridge, still fuming about the treachery from his mates? Not a great bunch, is it? Burnley left back. With Burnley, Sean Dyche has had them pretty solid all over the pitch for most of the decade, hasn't he? If you demanded me to try and nitpick a glaring weakness, maybe left back. Nobody's really stamped their authority in that position. It's sort of been passed around by Stephen Ward, Charlie Taylor, Eric Peters, even John Flanagan once had a crack at it. Nobody's really stood out. Surprising considering the way Leeds fans spoke about him, you'd swear Taylor was World Cup quality. Chelsea striker. Okay, let's be honest, Chelsea's striking options have been largely cursed. Take Diego Costa out of it, and only one striker set the 20-goal mark in a single season last decade. And even then, Fernando Torres was helped by playing nearly 60 goddamn games. There's been spectacular big money failures. Fernando Torres and Alvaro Morata cost over 100 million combined. There's been desperately passed at aging panic buys. The ridiculous decision to neglect the actual promising centre forwards is quite fitting after this club's snobby prejudice towards giving young strikers a chance that they're actually forced to end the decade with a Swansea reject chucked up front. Crystal Palace striker. Crystal Palace's striking options over the last decade have been laughable. It's the one position they've never solved. Sure, Glenn Murray once produced a 30-goal season back in 12-13, but only once has a striker hit double digits in the league since then. Dwight Gale once finished the club's top scorer with just 8 strikes. £27 million man Christian Benteke has been dreadful and outscored by a defensive midfielder in each of the last 2 seasons. When you factor in the utter subpar championship dross given chances up front, like Marouane Chamakh, Kevin Doyle and Shola Amiobi, good God. Everton winger. Let's be honest, if we're finding a chink in Everton's armour over the last decade, it's gonna be their wide men. Sure, they began the decade with an inability to find a half-decent centre forward, but that was quickly fixed with the addition of Romelu Lukaku. Out wide, Christ, big money is being spent on Aidan McGeady, Kevin Morales, Yannick Bolasie, Aaron Lennon, Alex Iwobi and Theo Walcott. That's a lot of wasted cash. Leicester, right midfield. This decade has been a roaring success for Leicester, but again, push me to find a weakness. Maybe right wing. I know he won the league title, but the wizardry of Riyad Mahrez sort of stole the thunder from Mark Albrighton. Demarai Gray has played over 120 games for the club, still hasn't hit 10 league goals for Leicester. Oh yeah, and don't forget, Nathan Dyer, once upon a time tip for England, did very little for the Foxes. Liverpool goalkeeper. Well, this is easy. It took Liverpool until the 8th year of the goddamn decade to bother to fix the problem. Yeah, signing Alisson for 60 million quid after just a season for Roma was a risk, but damn has it paid off. This has been a position neglected at Liverpool for years, and I've probably served them right that it eventually cost them a Champions League final. That's what you get for persisting with hopelessly erratic number ones in goal. The decade has seen the likes of an aging Pepe Reina take nets, then mid-table muck that was Simon Mignolet's career, signing a lad who conceded 5 in a North East derby. Was that really sensible? Adam Bogdan was also dragged in, despite him not only getting relegated at Bolton, but actually conceding a goal from 90 goddamn yards. And we all know what Loris Karius did in Kiev. Man City left back. Despite all the money in the world, Man City have never really been able to fix the left back position. It's almost like they been cursed? Roberto Mancini juggled between Gael Clichy and Alexander Kolarov, two left backs without a defensive brain in their skulls. 52 million man Benjamin Mendy was supposed to be the answer to their lopsided prayers. He's been nothing more than an expensive cheerleader, while Alexander Zinchenko and Angelino clearly aren't title winning standard, despite what this photo says. Man United left back. Yeah, Man City aren't the only Manchester club with left back woes this decade. Come on, let's be honest. Patrice Evra began the decade on the wane. British record £30 million signing Luke Shaw has taken 6 seasons to find his feet, and even then he still has a fight on his hands to keep his spot from a teenage Brandon Williams. When you spend £30 million on a left back, you really then shouldn't be forced to play a 30-year-old Ashley Young in his position for 2 goddamn years. I won't even touch on the likes of Alexander Butner and Donald Love. Good God. Newcastle right back. Surprisingly, despite 2 years in the Championship, Newcastle centre back options haven't been too bad. The right back options though, utter dross. Yes, beginning the decade with a fairly reliable Danny Simpson was okay. The £12 million signing of Matthew Debussy was an improvement, but he only stuck around for about 5 minutes before catching the first train to North London. Since then, first choice right backs have consisted of the error-prone Daryl Janmaat, the pace merchant but defensive bird-brain DeAndre Yedlin. There's been random appearances from forgotten men Kevin Mbabu, Jamie Sterry and Jesus Games. Not good. Norwich centre back. Easy. Norwich's glaring weakness throughout the decade has been their defence. Pick me one Premier League quality defender that's passed through Carrow Road in the last 10 years. Their abysmal defending is simply the reason they'll have been relegated 3 times in 10 years. Grant Hanley, Sebastian Bassong, Michael Turner, Joseph Yobo and A.G. Russell Martin, Ryan Bennett, not great. Sheffield United goalkeeper. Okay, yes, it's quite insane picking this position for Sheffield United considering they currently have the most competent young goalie in Britain between the sticks, but before his loan arrival from Old Trafford they were stuck. The Blades went through 5 number 1s before Dean Henderson. Steve Simonson kept goal as they were relegated to League 1. The unspectacular trio of George Long, Mark Howard and Simon Moore fought over the shirt in the 3rd tier, while Champions League winner but unwanted Chelsea reject Jamal Blackman, sentenced to countless loans, kept it warm before Henderson. No wonder they don't want to give him back. Southampton right back. Yeah, fairly easy to find Southampton's glaring weakness of the decade, the right back. They've been fairly comfortable on the left with Ryan Bertrand, but on the opposite flank, Nathaniel Klein only lasted 3 seasons and was replaced with players nowhere near as good. Cedric Suarez, Cuca Martina and Valerie. It's not great, is it? Hopefully Kyle Walker-Peters gets this decade off on the right foot. Tottenham centre midfield. To be honest, I can't really find any out and out position where Tottenham have failed this decade. Were it not for Harry Kane, then their centre forward options would have been pretty bang average, especially if they'd made good on their bids to sign Saido Berahino. But no, Kane does exist, so how about centre midfield instead? Purely for the amount of money they seemingly wasted. You've sold Luka Modric, a future Ballon d'Or winner, World Cup finalist and 4-time Champions League winner, for just 30 million, before spending a combined 150 million, basically 5 Modrics, on the likes of Etienne Capoue, Paulinho, Sandro, Moussa Sissoko, Victor Wanyama and Tanguy Ndombele. Wow, that is enough financial recklessness to cripple a country. Watford right back. Again, Watford right back maybe? They haven't been horrific in that area, but nobody's really stood out either. I made it clear I don't rate Daryl Janmaat. Alan Nyom was nothing but pace. Lee Hodson was bang average. Maybe if they were allowed to keep Hector Bellerin for the decade, but they weren't. West Ham striker. Yeah, West Ham have tried, but they've been royally cursed up front. It's been left to the attacking midfielders to top score for this club. Kind of says it all. In terms of true centre forwards, big money signings Andy Carroll, Simone Zaza and Javier Hernandez were injury prone duds, and even £40 million man Sebastian Haller started slowly. It's not been great up front. Oh yeah, and I'm not done there. Carlton, Cole, Diafra, Sacco, what are these footballers? Bang average strikers, that's for sure. And yeah, I know Ricardo Vazquez is a cult hero for that championship playoff final winner he once scored, but still, would you rate him as a great striker? And let's not forget, the club started the decade with a big tub of sweaty Greek Benny McCarthy up front. The only footballer who could make teammate Mido look like a fitness freak. Good lord, West Ham have tried to sign big name quality strikers like Alexander Lacazette, Carlos Bacca and even Neymar, but no, their centre forward options are patchy at best. Wolves centre back. No, I'm not slagging off Connor Cody. Wolves have fixed their defensive problems, but over the course of a decade which included League 1 football, don't forget, then yeah, let's pick on their defence. The relegation curse that was Sebastian Bassong, the big money captain who turned up to drunk training, the past of Richard Stearman, the existence of Mike Williamson. I could go on, I could. Anyway, that's the end of it, lads. Let me know, what do you think? Have I got this completely wrong? Are there other positions that have been neglected more than the ones I've said? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to go like, share and subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.